No car is cheap, but some cars really aren't cheap. Owning certain cars is a little more than a pipe dream for anyone other than the most rich in society. These are the 20 most expensive and rare cars of all time. Number 20. Renault Trezor. So what defines a rare car? You know, to the level that not even billionaires can get their hands on this car? Well, there are a few ways to define rarity, such as having a car that had a limited number of models made, which has happened a lot over the years. Then there are cars that are meant to be shown off as possibilities and not necessarily rides that are coming soon, which was a concept car by Renault back in 2016. At that time, the company would comment that it had been completely renewed and upgraded with a spectrum of complementary models, each one of which had its own assertive identity. And with the Trezor, they pursued this renewal by introducing a new life cycle sequence. The concept car was the fruit of a freedom of expression and prepared the way for the trends that they're likely to see in the upcoming vehicles, and those trends fall into two categories: French design and easy life. Needless to say, they put a lot of work and effort into that car, and the car has a drag coefficient of 0.22, making it one of the most aerodynamically efficient cars in the world. And as you hopefully know, when a car is really aerodynamic, it can slice through the air and burn less fuel. Except this car doesn't even burn fuel. It's an electric car, which is an extra bonus. But why is it so rare? Well, that's because it's still only a concept car. It was supposed to come out in the year 2020, but nothing has happened with it, and you can't buy something that's not on the market. Before we go on, like this video, smash the subscribe button, and click the notification bell right now, or this centipede will crawl on your face when you're sleeping. Now it's time for the sweet topic. Not even billionaires can get their hands on this car because this car is a super luxurious electric car in development from Apple that will cost some serious cash. Packed to the rafters with technology, current pricing estimates would suggest that buying just one of these things is going to set you back millions. I think I'll stick to my bicycle for now. As always, let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below using the hashtag #SweetTopic. Number 19. The Spirit of Nemo. Now, if there are fans of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen film out there, you'll know about the amazing car that's known as the Spirit of Nemo. This car was created for and by legendary captain from 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea to help the League to get around London and other places. It may have seemed fictional in the movie, but it actually was a real ride. Ken Freeman is the best custom car builder that you've never heard of. The owner of a body shop in West End, North Carolina, Freeman is the man behind the Spirit of Nemo and his take on possibly the most challenging movie car of all time, Captain Nemo's 24-foot-long convertible. The key thing about this car to note is that it could have easily been a concept car, one that was shown in the film but not exactly functional. Freeman, however, decided to take it to the extreme route and make the car actually usable for the most part. The details are impeccable, and amazingly, the car drives way better than you would expect out of a six-wheeled convertible with quad front steering and the width of a Peterbilt. It tracks just fine, the 425 cubic inch V8 happily thumping away like it meant to propel this Leviathan. Now, if you were to buy this car and you could drive it, turning would be a huge problem because of its length. But you know, life does find a way. The frame is based on steel I-beams from a dismantled bridge because the low-slung ride height wouldn't allow for the underbody bracing of a typical convertible. The hood and various other structural areas are reinforced with carbon fiber or Kevlar, so as Nemo would tell you, it was built to last. Yet ironically, it would also be put on eBay and apparently sold for a pretty penny. Number 18. Draco GTE. Sometimes rarity in a car is not just about being a rare thing, but also having it do rare things that most cars and other vehicles wouldn't dare to do before. For example, the Draco GTE is a car that's rare because it went through the ultimate winter driving despite not specifically being a winter vehicle. Draco Motors challenged the GTE by having it scale the Continental Divide at freezing temperatures and reach heights as high as 8,500 feet. The company handed the reins over to racer Andy Pilgrim to take the sedan to the winter performance track in Steamboat Stings, Colorado. But why? Well, that's because he was told to test out the high-speed handling of the car as it drove through the snow. Usually this would end in disaster and a funny meme being made afterwards, but here, not so much. With studded tires providing some grip, he was able to do some massive drifts across the frozen water of the nearby lake. Not bad for an electric car. The Draco GTE features 4 electric motors, one for each wheel, that makes a combined total of 1,200 horsepower and a claimed 6,491 foot-pounds of torque. More than enough to perform in tough conditions like a frozen tundra at high altitudes. But are you waiting for the hammer to drop? Well, good. Draco Motors intends to only make about 25 of these vehicles, and they'll charge a measly, minuscule $1.25 million for each. So that's a twofold on the both rare and expensive scale, because it's $1.25 million just to get, and then you have to make sure that you get one of the only 25 that are out there. So you basically have to hope that there aren't 24 other millionaires or billionaires out there that have the desire to get this car. It's not exactly the safest of bets, but perhaps you'll be lucky. Number 17. Mazzanti Evantra Milicavelli. Now, if you can't tell, that name's Italian, and I probably mangled it. Go ahead and let me know all about it in the comments. I really do care, and that's a good thing because Italy makes some of the best cars. Equally as important, they make some of the best supercars in the entire world. They already have some of the biggest names under their Italian belt, but this one is one that aims to steal the spotlight wherever it can and prove its worth to the world. Unveiled as a prototype in 2016, this vehicle boasts 1,000 horsepower from a twin-turbocharged LS7 7.2-liter V8 engine. But during its development, this would be changed to 1,200 horsepower from an enlarged 7.3-liter version. The car claims a top speed of 250 miles per hour and acceleration from 0 to 60 in only about 2.7 seconds. Thanks to the carbon ceramic brakes, the vehicle will stop in only 7 seconds at 186 miles per hour, which is really impressive. Plus, can I just talk about the look of the car? The thing looks like a friggin' beast. It has all the right mixtures of slick style and armor to make it pop in any crowd that it becomes in. Add to that, it has doors that open in reverse, which gives you extra style points, and when it comes to cars, you absolutely need those. For now, the manufacturer only plans to build about 25 units of this car, and that began back in 2018. They're making only 5 of these per year, and then selling them to those who can actually afford them. So how much would it take for you to get your hands on one? Well, the definitive price has not yet been verified. However, the price of $1.2 million has come around quite a bit. Considering everything that the car can do and how awesome it looks, perhaps it is a fair price indeed. Number 16. Ferrari LaFerrari. Ferrari is by and large one of the most luxurious and respected car brands in the world today, and if you own any type of this vehicle, you're doing something right. Then, as you delve higher and higher into the quality range, you realize that Ferrari just keeps going until they make some of the most beautiful and stylish cars out there, like the Ferrari LaFerrari. A car so nice that they named it after themselves twice. The prancing horses eagerly anticipating limited series special, of which just 499 will be built, made its world debut at the Geneva International Motor Show in 2013. But I know that you want to know about the name. because it's a bit atypical that they named it after themselves. Well, the head of the company would allow the reason to slip and said that they chose that name because it's the maximum expression of what defines the company: excellence. Excellence in terms of technological innovation, performance, visionary styling, and the sheer thrill of driving. It was aimed at the collector and is a truly extraordinary car that encompasses advanced solutions that in the future will find their way onto the rest of the range, and also represents the benchmark for the entire automotive industry. LaFerrari is the finest expression of the company's unique, unparalleled engineering and design know-how, which includes that it acquired Formula One. That's having confidence in a brand that you made and the model to represent this excellence that Ferrari offers. The base version of the LaFerrari carries an 8-liter V12 engine and a 120 kilowatt electric motor that together propel the pile of carbon fiber, leather, and human-shaped money piles to 62 miles per hour in under 3 seconds, and a maximum speed of about 217 miles per hour. Plus, it's also just a beautiful car, so when you hear it costs $1.4 million to put in your driveway, well, you probably said, that's pretty fair, right? Right? Number 15. Pagani Huayra. When the Pagani Huayra, whose name I probably screwed up, was made in the mind of Horacio Pagani, he knew that it had to be more than just another car. The birth of this vehicle in 2011 represented an important moment in the history of Italian sports car. It was also a turning point for Pagani, which until then had only produced the Zonda and was preparing, with its latest car, to enter into the American auto market. So Pagani knew that if he was going to make things work on the scale that he wanted them to, and to do things that he wanted with the ride, he had to not only make a great car, but also a work of art. He would spend over 7 years defining the style of the car, not because he was confused or didn't know, but in fact the first models were practically the same as the definitive car itself. However, because they worked on the pursuit of perfection in all the details, it took that long. He would even cite Michelangelo and Leonardo da Vinci as being his inspiration because he wanted the car to be a mixture of art and science, just like the works of the late sculptors and painters. Thus came the development of 8 scale models and 2 1-to-1 models, as well as hundreds of sketches and preparatory drawing, all so that a car could be exactly what it needed to be. And at the end of that journey, they had a beast that boasted 730 horsepower, and they even made a super rare special edition so that they could give them to individual customers. For the 10th anniversary celebration of the ride and the 60th of the company, they made 3 special versions of this car, and if you want one, well, you'll only need about $7 million. That's nothing, really. Number 14. McLaren Elva. As I've already shown you, and will continue to do so, the name on the car is equally as important as the car itself. The McLaren Elva, for example, is one that you know is quality from the outlet because of the name McLaren. They're known for fast cars, powerful vehicles, sleek cars, and yes, even expensive ones, which the McLaren Elva definitely qualifies as. The hypercar's mid-mounted 804 horsepower twin-turbo V8 that exhales through 4 exhaust barrels to deliver the power that you would expect from such a ride. But wait, there is a fun twist. If you were to get one of these cars, of which there were only 399 in the world today, you can keep the base form, or you can get it customized via the special MSO team at McLaren. The most sensational of these bespoke options includes a 24-karat gold heat shield for the engine compartment. That's right, you can get a golden heat shield for your car, because why not if you're already spending $1.7 million to get it, right? McLaren does claim that the Elva can accelerate from 0 to 62 miles per hour in less than 3 seconds, and from 0 to 124 miles per hour in 6.7 seconds. That makes it a pretty fast ride. Plus, when you look at the thing, it just screams sleek, especially with that black coating that makes it all feel so much more powerful. Number 13. Zinger 21C. The Zinger 21C leaves no question that it's a hypercar. Aside from 4-figure horsepower and lap record-shattering performance, the vehicle's sheer presence is enough to wow car lovers everywhere. Well, I mean, just look at the thing and tell me you wouldn't drive it if you had the chance. Funnily enough, though, the duo behind the car didn't want to make one hypercar. They wanted to make a vehicle that was a presence and had the ability to do it, that it could revolutionize the world of cars going forward. Primary propulsion comes from a twin-turbo 2.9-liter flat-plane crankshaft V8, which produces 950 horsepower at 10,500 RPMs. Plus, via a special electrical system, the car can also add up to 100 horsepower to the engine's drive on the rear wheels, while powering a 120 kilowatt electric motor driving each of the front wheels. With this electric all-wheel drive setup, total system output comes to about 1350 in the horsepower range, which is a whole lot of horses. Top speed is stated to be at above 280 miles per hour, so you'll be able to go fast in this car, no doubt. One of the coolest things, though, about this car is that they did 3D metal printing to make the parts. It's part of the duo's design process that might lead them to great things in the future. And starting out at $2 million and limited to 80 examples, customer deliveries are targeted for the year 2023. So you'll have to stack up the cash if you want one. Or, based upon what some are teasing, you could just wait for the next model and see what innovations come out of that. Number 12. The Ferrari Monza. Now, it shouldn't be that much of a surprise that I'm talking about another Ferrari. The car brand is legendary for its vehicle. Plus, given their reputation as a high-quality car maker, they were inevitably going to make all sorts of rare models, like with the Ferrari Monza. Ferrari only made 499 units of the Monza SP1 and SP2, indicating its rarity right off the bat. Also, what is it with these car makers going one below a whole number? Do they not like to round up? In case you're unaware, Ferrari Monza SP1 and 2 are both inspired by classic speedsters from the 1950s. Hence the old school look in terms of the lack of roof and body shape. What makes them even more special apart from the rarity is the engine under the hood. Ferrari Monza twins are powered by a naturally aspirated 6.5-liter V12 churning out 809 horsepower, and they can sprint to 62 miles per hour in just 2.9 seconds, up to 124 miles per hour in 7.9. The top speed of this open-top supercar is over 186 miles per hour, which may seem slow compared to the others that I've mentioned so far, but this one is equally as much about style as it is speed. As for the price tag, you can get one for the low dollar amount of $2 million, and if you're curious about who would pay a price like that for this car, well, his name would be Gordon Ramsay. Number 11. Gordon Murray T33. Now I'll begin this entry off a little different. Instead of telling you about the car, I'll first tell you about the price. Getting the Gordon Murray T33 is going to cost you about $1.85 million. However, if you can believe it, that's actually a bargain, because this car was made to be the more accessible version of the T50 that was made by Gordon Murray, so you can just imagine how much more inaccessible that car must be. Actually, I'll just tell you that the other car was $2.5 million. You know, nothing in the wallet. So it's nice to know that these car makers think that dropping at $750 grand will make it more accessible to the market. To be clear, the T33 is a very powerful car, even with some of the features that were lost from the T50, because it still has a V12 engine. While the car is sleek, it does prefer function over title, and there's actually nothing on the car that doesn't have a function, especially since many cars like to cram stuff in just because they can, versus whether or not it actually helps the car itself. So while it's not the cheapest car in the world, if you were to get one, you'd know that it works and that it has a lot of function. It's going to need to do what it needs to do while also looking cool. Number 10. Koenigsegg Gamera. The Koenigsegg Gamera is a highly potent four-seater that promises the Swedish firm's trademark blend of refinement and straight-line pace. They're so high on the vehicle that they've called this a practical hypercar. Make out of that what you will. The Gamera takes its power from a high-capacity electrified powertrain, which promises to push the four-seater from 0 to 62 in just 1.9 seconds, and that's all with a top speed of around 250 miles per hour. You know, that's practical for sure. The Gamera can operate in pure electric mode at speeds of up to 186 and is claimed to be capable of covering 31 miles before the petrol motor kicks back in. That's not exactly the best, but it's also not meant to be a fully electric car. It's a hybrid after all, and it's one where you should just take what you can get at a price of over $1 million. Number 9. The Aston Martin DB4 GT Zagato 1962. Why yes, that is a very long name for a car, but the DB4 has to be spelled out that way, not just because it's the name, but it very clearly accentuates how rare the vehicle is. And this car isn't just special, it's special due to how it was sold at auction at a hefty price. This is one of 19 unique examples that were built, and only 6 are left-hand drive, like this one that sold at the auction. Speaking of which, the car that was sold after it went through a total overhaul to ensure that it was back to factory parts sold for $14 million. People just really love to spend money on cars that they'll probably never drive. Number 8. Jaguar XKSS 1957. This was another vehicle that went up for auction, and it might surprise you to learn that it went for even more than the other one. In fact, it was about $18 million when it was all said and done. If you hit the right auction, you're going to get a really big price, which is fair for this car, as it was an upgraded version of another model. This one includes a new larger windscreen, a folding soft top, and a passenger side door, along with luggage grid and extra luxury trim. Plus, the history of the vehicle makes it valuable, as there were only about 16 left after a fire would break out at the factory, destroying 25 completed models. So, you've got a nice car with a cool and hot history, and that's how you make money out of it. Number 7. Porsche 917. Now, it's taken a while, but we've finally gotten to the Porsches. This is another one of those cars where you expect it to be great because it's a Porsche. But I'm not talking about just any old Porsche, I'm talking about the Porsche 917. This was a car that made its name at the legendary Le Mans race and helped to begin Porsche's dominance in the event, capable of still an astonishing 246 miles per hour at a time when aerodynamics was not yet fully understood. The 917 was a flat 12-powered brute that even the best struggled to tame. Yet when they could get it to do what they wanted, victory was pretty much assured, and one of these things, which was in the Steve McQueen film Le Mans, was valued at more than $16 million at an auction in 2021. Number 6. McLaren F1 LM. Launched in 1992, the McLaren F1 would go on to revolutionize the supercar industry, with many of its core characteristics still referenced in the production of today's most exotic vehicles. It is the base model that everyone thinks of when they talk about McLaren. To commemorate the success, McLaren was quick to unveil a celebrity road legal variant called the F1 LM after Le Mans. The LM was limited to just 5 examples, one for each of the F1 GTRs that competed in that memorable race. The vast majority of media circulating on the web and magazines showcases the car with a papaya orange paint job, which is a nod to Bruce McLaren's racing cars. So getting this car isn't just getting another car, it's getting a piece of history so that you can understand why the price ranges from about $1 to $5 million depending on which of them you get. Number 5. Jaguar XK120 C-Type. After the sweet success of Jaguar's hurried XK120, they then developed the C, or C-Type, as an endurance racing version. With that, Jaguar embarked on the first racing program that was aimed at winning the 24-hour of Le Mans outright. On its first attempt, and only 6 weeks after completion, Peter Walker and Peter Whitehead won the race in 1951. Jaguar then repeated the feat in 1953 with Duncan Hamilton and Tony Rolt at the wheel, and that should show you just how important that Le Mans is to car companies. They'll make entirely new models just to race and win the thing. Back in the day, one of these rides would have cost you only about $6,200, but one of the ones that didn't win the race, well, it sold for over $13 million in the modern day. So that's what you call a different time. Number 4. Maybach Exalero 2008. Let's step away from the past and embrace the recent generations of cars with the Maybach Exalero 2008. The Maybach Exalero is a high-performance sports car designed and built by luxury car manufacturer Maybach and was unveiled in May of 2005. The 700-horsepower two-seater with a bi-turbo V12 engine is a one-off design that was commissioned to act as a high-profile demonstrator for the tire line. Just the prototype would reach a top speed of over 218 miles per hour, despite weighing over 2.66 tons. It's capable of an acceleration of 0 to 60 in 4.4 seconds. But perhaps the coolest part is that the design actually came from some students at a university. They held a competition, and the look of the Exalero was born out of that. And if you want one, well, you might have to pay a measly $7 million to get it. Number 3. Ford GT40 1964. Oh, a car that was made for Le Mans again, and this time Henry Ford was the man who tried to make this vehicle happen so that they could win and beat their rival Ferrari. Ford's challenge was a car that was made fast enough to overcome the Ferrari, and they began with the 1964 Ford GT, a well-funded prototype which would become the legendary GT40 just a year later. Ford relied on new technology to assist in its development, and most of the work was carried out by Ford, which included aerodynamic testing using a scale model in Maryland in a wind tunnel. While it did not win at Le Mans its first year, it did set the stage for much of what Ford would end up doing, and as a result, one of those cars would sell for auction at $7 million. Number 2. Pagani Zonda Revoluzione. How about one more visit from an old friend? Pagani Automobile unveiled the final version of the Pagani Zonda Revoluzione to clients and family members during Vanishing Point 2013. The Pagani Zonda Revoluzione is the apex of the celebration of performance, technology, and art applied to a track car, all the while making it one that would impress anyone who came across it in a car collection. One look at this ride and you can instantly see why so many would want it. It looks powerful and drives great, and you honestly just want to feel what it would be like behind the wheel. Many people had that same impulse, which is why the car was available for $2.5 million. Number 1. Porsche 550 Spyder. Is it really a surprise that this vehicle's at the top of the list? And some legends of the world, including James Dean, had one. Featuring a potent 1500 cubic centimeter 4-cam engine, a simple yet effective tubular chassis, and a torsion bar suspension, the Spyder's weight of just a little over 1,200 pounds afforded remarkable performance and agility, which obviously made it special for those who had the need for speed. In terms of price though, one would sell this year at auction for just over $4 million, and there were only 90 of them that were ever made, so getting your hands on one is a special feat. That's all from the realm of expensive cars, rare rides, and just how hard it can be to get your hands on one. Which of these would you get if you could? And do you think it's interesting how expensive that some of these rare cars are? As always, let me know all about it in the comments section down below. Be sure to check out the other cool things showing up on the screen, and I'll see you next time.